You know, in this time of Thanksgiving and the holidays, I think it's important that we take a few minutes to honor the past, present, and future legends of our sport. So keep the camera steady, Ed. I'm going to give you the greatest disc golf story ever told. Once upon an Albert Tom, I was fishing at the Crazy John Brooks, but I hadn't caught any Andrew fish that were very Garrett girthy, and I was getting more frustrated with every Nico LaCastro. Plus, I wish someone Coda Hatfield warned me about the AJ Risley bear prowling around, but it's still Greg Hosfeld great just to be out there. About that time, though, my sister rang the Matt bell for lunch, which meant it was time for me to Christina Linth to come home. So I Alex rustled up my gear and started to Ken climb the big hill back to our Zach Arling house. When I'd gone about a half a mile seaborne, I came up to the Zoe Andike and heard a huge Ellen Witt boom like somebody had just Tom shot a Missy Gannon. Turns out, Harold Duval it was somebody shooting their double Anthony Barella shotgun at a historic Roddick on the other side of the Vanessa Van Dyken. But it flew off and went to Henna Blomroos and a Kyle Crabtree. I still needed to get Sarah Hokum, so I picked up my Dave Dunna pace as I was Kevin Jonesing to get back for lunch. You know, meal times with my family is something that I, Joe, revere. And I don't know what would Marty Hapner if I missed out on the Terry Roethlisbergers with a honey Cameron cold glazer and Chandler fries that we were having. So I Andrew Presnelled on. Suddenly I came up to a fallen Eric Oakley tree that had Paul Ulibarried the path. And when I tried to jump over it, one of the Logan Bowers caught my Grady shoe and I fell flat on my Jeff face. So now my leg's stuck, I've torn my Adam Hammies, and my arm had landed in a patch of Jessica Weiss and was covered in Chris Dickers and stuff. And on top of all that, I would have bet a Matt Dollar that I had dropped a Seppo Payu in my brand new Kale LaViscas and then made a Cam Messerschmitt.
Come on, dude. Too far.
Listen, Brody Smith, just you Philo Brathwaite. Okay, there's much Callie McMorran, and this is the Paul McBeth part. I didn't know if I had the Brian Earhart to go on, but I knew I was too Heather Young to die. You know, I normally think where there's a Will Schustrick, there's a way, but my normal sense of positivity was really Zach Melton. So as I'm laying there, and listen, I would not make this up, okay? I consider myself a good Christian Dietrich. I'd never touch the Andrew Marweed, and lying is something that I wouldn't Justin Billa do. So as I'm laying there, I hear the page-piercing cry of an Eagle McMahon that emerged out of a sunbeam and landed right in front of me, which made my heart Luke Humphreys. It looked me right in my KJ Nibo and said, "Rah!" Which means, you can do this. Be the Haley King that I know a Meitzma you are. I took that as a Paul omen that I was going to be a Joel Freeman soon and nothing was going to Tim Barham my way. At that point, I was Des Redding to get back home, and you'd be surprised the calcline of extra motivation you can get when your leg's stuck with a Josh Anton at trying to bite your Stancil Johnson. So I took Ezra Adderhold of my Ricky Wysocki and pulled as hard as I could. And at Holly Finley came John Halka the page shoe, and I half-limped half Madison Walker the rest of the way home. Sadly, when I got home, my mom had decided to Lisa fake us out and make Brian Schwebergers instead, which, when life gives you Chris Clemens, you know. I let out a sad Simon Lizotte and started a Mike Mosier over to the table when my mom told my sister, "Hey, would you be a Nathan Queen and Austin Hannum the soap? He's filthy and I'm worried about big germs." After I'd eaten a bit, I felt Dave Greenwell enough to tell him what had happened, and I definitely felt I Devin Owens them an explanation for my Kristen Tattard clothes. My sister thought my story was James Conrad, but my mom called me a spacey Casey White and said I was lucky we weren't at the James Proctor's office. Just then my dad got home and made quite the entrance as he tripped over the welcome Matt Oram and kicked the Cat Allen into my Drew Gibson guitar. I think he Dave Feldberg sorry for me a little bit because he said, "Why don't we all go play disc golf Tom Monroe morning?" Which Nate Perkins me right up. So let me finish this Yale story by saying that disc golf is the greatest game ever. Because for one thing, it keeps people from sitting around on their Valerie Doss all day, Nate sexing each other and whatnot, and gets them out in nature, where they can Barry Schultz their problems and take in the Reed Frescura air. Emerson Keith name drops in that story, huh? You know, I didn't want a Jordan Castro too wide of a net, but my sister wrote that, and I told her she has to crisscross at least 100 names off the list before I'd let her Steve Rico home. Comment below with your favorite famous disc golfer reference, and if this video made you smile, please consider sharing it with somebody you think might appreciate it. All right, I'm Evelina selling it off, but before I go, I want to prove to you that I actually missed that putt in the video on purpose. Dang it.